In a world filled with masks and hidden intentions, it's crucial to recognize the subtle signs of a truly evil person before it's too late. In this video, we're diving deep into the Stoic wisdom that will help you identify these dangerous traits. Stay with me till the end, because understanding these signs could be the key to protecting your peace, your mind, and even your life. Number 1, they manipulate others for their own gain. When you're dealing with someone who manipulates others for their own gain, it's like stepping into a web they've carefully spun just to ensnare you. It's subtle at first, you might not even realize what's happening. Manipulators are skilled at weaving words and actions in a way that makes you question your own thoughts and feelings. They're the puppeteers, pulling strings behind the scenes while you dance to their tune, often without even knowing it. These individuals don't necessarily announce their intentions openly. They prefer to operate in the shadows, where their true motives can stay hidden. The hallmark of a manipulator is their ability to twist situations to their advantage, often at the expense of others. They're not above using charm, guilt, or even fear to get what they want. It's all part of the game for them, a game where the rules are constantly shifting in their favor. Now, let's dig into how they do this. First off, they're masterful at reading people. They observe your behavior, your reactions, and your emotions. Once they've got you figured out, they start pushing the right buttons. Maybe it's a compliment here, a favor there, anything to get you to lower your guard. Before you know it, you're doing things you never thought you'd do, all because they've made you feel like you owe them something, or worse, like you're the one in control. But here's the kicker, the more you give in, the more they take. A manipulator's appetite for control and power is insatiable. They're like a bottomless pit, constantly needing more from you, more attention, more favors, more obedience. And the moment you start to resist or pull away, they'll shift tactics. Maybe they'll play the victim, making you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. Or they'll turn on the charm, convincing you that you're overreacting or imagining things. It's all part of the cycle, designed to keep you in their orbit. This constant push and pull can leave you feeling confused, drained, and even doubting your own sanity. That's exactly where they want you. In their world, confusion is power. The more disoriented you are, the easier it is for them to control you. They thrive on your uncertainty, using it as a tool to further their own agenda. And make no mistake, their agenda is always self-serving. It's never about your well-being or mutual benefit, it's all about what they can get out of the situation. Over time, you might start to notice patterns. The flattery that seemed so genuine at first starts to feel hollow. The favors they ask of you become increasingly burdensome. The relationship begins to feel one-sided, with you doing all the giving and them doing all the taking. This is when the mask starts to slip, revealing the manipulator's true nature. But by then, you might already be deeply entangled in their web, making it hard to break free. And that's where the real danger lies. The longer you stay in this toxic dynamic, the more you lose sight of yourself. Your boundaries become blurred, your sense of self-worth erodes, and your ability to trust others takes a hit. The manipulator knows this, and they'll exploit it to keep you tethered to them. They'll feed off your insecurities, using them as leverage to maintain their grip on you. But remember, recognizing the signs is the first step toward breaking free. Once you see the manipulation for what it is, a calculated attempt to control and exploit, you can start to reclaim your power. It's about setting boundaries, standing firm, and refusing to play their game. The manipulator's greatest weakness is your awareness. The moment you stop responding to their tactics, they lose their hold over you. And that's when you can finally start to untangle yourself from their web, piece by piece, until you're free. So, stay vigilant. Don't let the manipulator's charm or cunning deceive you. Trust your instincts and keep your guard up. The moment you sense manipulation, it's time to step back and reassess the relationship. Because when someone's willing to manipulate others for their own gain, they're showing you who they truly are. And that's someone you're better off without. Number 2, they subtly encourage self-doubt in others. When dealing with someone who subtly encourages self-doubt in others, you might find yourself in a situation where the ground beneath you feels less stable. It's not about them overtly tearing you down. That would be too obvious, too easy to spot and push back against. No, the truly insidious nature of this behavior lies in its subtlety, its quiet, almost invisible nature. These individuals don't come at you with direct attacks. Instead, they weave a web of uncertainty, making you question your own thoughts, feelings, and even your worth. Imagine a conversation where they drop a small, seemingly innocuous comment, a little jab that doesn't immediately sting but lingers, gnaws at your confidence. Maybe it's about something you've said or done, or even a decision you've made. They might frame it as just a thought or only trying to help, but underneath those words is an intention to make you doubt yourself. It's the kind of comment that makes you replay the moment over and over, wondering if you really did mess up, if you're truly as capable as you thought you were. This tactic is about planting seeds of doubt, not an entire forest. They're smart about it. They know if they come on too strong, you'll see right through it. So, they keep it light, barely noticeable at first. But over time, these seeds grow. They take root in your mind, making you second-guess your decisions, your abilities, even your value as a person. You start to rely on them more, seeking their approval, their validation, because the constant questioning of yourself makes you feel like you need someone else to confirm your worth. What's particularly dangerous about this behavior is how it erodes your sense of self slowly, like water wearing down a rock. At first, you might not even realize it's happening. You might think you're just being reflective, cautious, or even humble. But then, you notice you're not as confident as you used to be. You're more hesitant to speak up, more likely to defer to others, even when you know deep down that you're right. It's like your inner compass starts to spin, and you can't find your true north anymore. They often disguise this behavior as concern or support. They might say things like, "Are you sure that's the best idea?" Or "I'm just worried you might be setting yourself up for disappointment." These comments seem caring on the surface, but they're really designed to make you doubt your judgment. And because they're framed as concern, it's hard to push back without seeming ungrateful or defensive. So, you let it slide, thinking they have your best interests at heart. But in reality, they're chipping away at your confidence bit by bit. As you start to internalize this doubt, you might find yourself becoming more dependent on their opinions. You start to seek their advice more often, relying on them to reassure you that you're making the right choices. This creates a power dynamic where they're in control, and you're left questioning yourself. They become the authority in your life, the one whose approval you need to feel secure. And the more you doubt yourself, the more power they gain. It's a vicious cycle, and breaking free from it can be challenging. The first step is recognizing what's happening, seeing those subtle comments for what they truly are, attempts to undermine your confidence. Once you see it, you can start to push back, to trust your own judgment again. It's about reclaiming your power, reminding yourself that you don't need someone else to validate your worth. In a Stoic sense, the key is to cultivate your inner strength, to become grounded in your own values and beliefs. When you know who you are and what you stand for, it becomes harder for others to shake you. Their attempts to sow doubt won't take root because your confidence doesn't depend on their approval. You're not easily swayed by their opinions because you trust yourself. And in the end, that's what truly protects you from their subtle, insidious tactics, your unwavering belief in yourself. Number 3. They use silence or withdrawal as a weapon to punish others. When someone uses silence or withdrawal as a weapon, it's not just about staying quiet or taking a step back. It's an intentional move designed to hurt, control, and manipulate. The silence isn't peaceful, it's loud with unspoken words and unresolved tension. It's a kind of emotional warfare, where the absence of communication becomes a tool to inflict emotional pain. Imagine you're in a situation where there's a conflict or disagreement. Instead of addressing it, the person just shuts down, leaving you in a void. This isn't the kind of silence that seeks peace or understanding. No, it's something darker. It's a silence that builds walls, creating a barrier that leaves you on the outside, confused, anxious, and maybe even doubting yourself. It's like being in a room where the air is so thick with tension that it's hard to breathe, but you're the only one gasping for air. The use of silence or withdrawal in this way is a classic move of manipulation. It's not about resolving a problem, it's about creating a power imbalance. The person who withdraws knows that you're waiting for a response, for some kind of communication that will clear the air. But they withhold it, not because they need space to think, but because they know the discomfort it causes you. They know that by pulling away, they're pulling the strings, making you dance to the tune of their silence. In the silence, you start to question yourself. What did I do wrong? Should I apologize? How can I fix this? But here's the thing, it's not about what you did or didn't do. It's about control. They want you to feel that you're the one at fault, that you're the one who needs to make amends. They thrive on your discomfort, your uncertainty, and your attempts to bridge the gap they've created. It's a twisted form of power, where they get to sit back and watch as you twist yourself into knots, trying to break through the wall of silence they've erected. This behavior isn't just a red flag, it's a siren blaring at full volume. It's a clear sign that you're dealing with someone who isn't interested in mutual respect or healthy communication. They're interested in domination, in bending you to their will through subtle, yet deeply impactful means. The silent treatment or withdrawal is their way of saying, I have the upper hand here, and I'll let you suffer until you give in. What makes this tactic particularly insidious is its subtlety. It's not like a loud argument where things are out in the open, where you know what's being fought over. This is shadowboxing, where the blows are felt, but never seen. The wounds are internal, emotional, and often long-lasting. It's hard to fight back against silence because there's nothing to push against. You're left swinging at air, trying to make sense of a situation where the rules are constantly shifting, controlled by someone who enjoys watching you flounder. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is the opposite of virtue. It's a form of cruelty, wrapped in the guise of non-communication. Stoicism teaches us to seek peace, to resolve conflicts through reason and understanding. But when faced with someone who uses silence as a weapon, it's important to recognize that you're dealing with a person who has no interest in these principles. They're playing a different game, one where the goal is to see you break, to see you submit to their will. So, what do you do in such a situation? First, recognize it for what it is, a manipulation tactic. Understand that their silence is not a reflection of your worth or actions, but a deliberate move to control and punish. Don't give in to the game. Maintain your own sense of peace and self-worth. If they choose silence, you can choose to step away, not in defeat, but in strength. You're not obligated to fix something that's been broken by someone else's cruelty. In the end, dealing with someone who uses silence or withdrawal as a weapon is about maintaining your own inner balance. It's about refusing to be pulled into their web of manipulation and standing firm in your own truth. The silence they wield is meant to harm, but it only has power if you let it. Recognize it, refuse to play the game, and move forward with your integrity intact. Number 4, they exploit weaknesses in others. When you're around someone who exploits the weaknesses of others, it's like watching a predator circle its prey. They're not interested in helping or supporting those who are vulnerable. Instead, they're on the lookout for cracks in the armor, those moments of doubt, fear, or insecurity that everyone experiences. Once they find those weaknesses, they don't hesitate to sink their teeth in, using them as leverage to get what they want. The tricky part is, these people are often skilled at masking their true intentions. They might come across as friendly, even caring, at first. But beneath that veneer lies a cold calculation, a desire to control or gain an advantage over you. They're not interested in lifting others up. Their goal is to push them down, to keep them in a position where they can be easily manipulated. One of the main tactics they use is identifying your insecurities. Maybe it's something you're self-conscious about, or a fear you've confided in them. Instead of offering genuine support, they'll subtly reinforce those insecurities, making you feel even more vulnerable. They might offer backhanded compliments or make jokes that cut a little too close to the bone. It's all part of their strategy to keep you off balance, to make sure you never feel strong enough to stand up to them. This exploitation of weaknesses isn't just about words either. They'll observe how you react to certain situations and use that knowledge to their advantage. If they notice you're hesitant to say no, they'll push your boundaries, asking for more and more until you're stretched thin. If they see that you're eager to please, they'll exploit that too, making you feel like you have to earn their approval by doing things that go against your better judgment. Over time, this kind of behavior can wear you down. It can make you doubt your own worth, your own abilities. And that's exactly what they want. By keeping you in a state of self-doubt, they can maintain their control over you. They know that as long as you feel weak, you'll be less likely to challenge them, less likely to see through their manipulations. What makes this even more insidious is that they often target those who are already vulnerable. They look for people who are going through tough times, who are dealing with stress, loss, or uncertainty. These are the moments when you might be more susceptible to their influence, more likely to overlook the red flags. And once they've got you in their sights, they won't let go easily. But there's a way out of this. The key is to recognize the patterns, to see their behavior for what it is, a deliberate attempt to exploit your weaknesses. It's about reclaiming your power, recognizing your worth, and setting boundaries that they can't cross. You have to remind yourself that their opinion of you doesn't define you, and that their tactics only have power if you allow them to. Strengthening your own sense of self-worth is crucial here. The more confident you are in yourself, the less their attempts to exploit you will affect you. When you know your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses without judgment, you become much harder to manipulate. It's not about being perfect or invulnerable, it's about being aware and resilient, about refusing to let someone else's agenda dictate how you see yourself. It's also important to surround yourself with people who genuinely support and uplift you. The more positive, healthy relationships you have, the less room there is for someone who seeks to exploit your weaknesses. These good relationships act as a buffer, helping you stay grounded and reminding you of your worth when someone tries to bring you down. In the end, someone who exploits weaknesses in others is showing you who they really are. They're revealing a fundamental lack of empathy and integrity, traits that are the opposite of what Stoicism teaches us to value. When you recognize these signs, it's a clear signal to distance yourself, to protect your well-being, and to focus on relationships that are built on mutual respect and kindness. Because life is too short to spend it tangled up with people who only see you as a means to an end. Number 5. They hold grudges and seek covert revenge. When someone harbors grudges and quietly plots revenge, it's like dealing with a ticking time bomb. It's not the dramatic, in-your-face kind of hostility, but something much more insidious. The kind of person who holds grudges and seeks covert revenge doesn't come at you with open aggression. Instead, they bide their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike when you least expect it. This is the person who, outwardly, might seem calm, even friendly, but underneath, they're simmering with resentment. You see, grudges have a way of festering. They're not just fleeting annoyances that pass with time, they dig in, take root, and grow. The person who holds onto them isn't interested in resolution or moving forward. No, they're interested in payback. And the worst part? They don't want you to see it coming. They play the long game, waiting for the right opportunity to get even, often in ways that are subtle and hard to trace back to them. Their revenge isn't about grand gestures or dramatic confrontations. That would be too obvious, too easy to spot. No, they prefer to operate in the shadows, to exact their revenge in ways that might seem insignificant at first but build up over time. Maybe it's a snide remark, a backhanded compliment, or a small act of sabotage. Each action might seem trivial on its own, but together, they add up to something much more damaging. What makes this kind of behavior particularly harmful is that it's often difficult to pinpoint. You might feel like something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's because this person is careful, calculated. They know how to cover their tracks, to make it seem like they're not doing anything wrong. They might even convince you that you're overreacting, that the problem is with you, not them. This covert approach allows them to maintain a facade of normalcy. They might still smile at you, engage in small talk, and even offer to help you out with something. But all the while, they're holding onto that grudge, nurturing it like a poisonous plant. They water it with their resentment, prune it with their need for control, and wait for it to bear fruit in the form of your downfall. Now, why do they do this? It's not just about getting even, it's about power. Holding on to a grudge and seeking revenge gives them a sense of control. They're not just reacting to a perceived wrong, they're actively shaping the narrative, bending it to their will. In their mind, they're righting a wrong, restoring balance. But in reality, they're creating more harm, perpetuating a cycle of negativity that only breeds more resentment and hostility. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is the antithesis of wisdom. Stoicism teaches us to let go of our attachments to external events, to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. But the person who holds grudges is doing the opposite. They're fixating on the past, on something that's already happened and can't be changed. They're allowing that past event to dictate their present and future actions, which is a recipe for misery. In the end, the person who holds grudges and seeks covert revenge isn't just harming others, they're harming themselves. They're trapping themselves in a prison of their own making, locked in a cycle of bitterness and retribution that can never bring true satisfaction or peace. It's a hollow victory they're seeking, one that will never fill the void they're trying to address. So, when you encounter someone who behaves this way, it's important to recognize what's really going on. This isn't just a matter of someone being petty or spiteful, it's a sign of deeper issues, of a person who is consumed by their own need for control and vindication. Understanding this can help you navigate these relationships more wisely, protecting yourself from their toxic influence while maintaining your own sense of peace and balance. Number 6, they fake kindness to mask their true intentions. When someone fakes kindness to mask their true intentions, it's like putting a shiny veneer over something rotten underneath. On the surface, everything seems fine, even pleasant, warm smiles, thoughtful gestures, sweet words that seem to come from a place of genuine care. But lurking just beneath that polished exterior is something far more sinister. The kindness isn't real, it's a tool, a facade carefully constructed to manipulate, deceive, and eventually take advantage. You've probably come across people who are just too nice. Their compliments feel a little too smooth, their helpfulness a tad too eager, their concern just a bit too much. It's almost as if they're acting from a script, saying and doing exactly what you want to hear, what you expect from a kind person. But if you pay close attention, you might notice that something feels off. Their words and actions don't align with a genuine sense of empathy or compassion. Instead, they're calculated, measured, and aimed at securing your trust. This is the hallmark of someone who fakes kindness. They're not being nice because they care about you, they're being nice because they care about what they can get from you. It's a strategic move, a way to disarm you, lower your defenses, and make you more susceptible to their real agenda. And often, by the time you realize what's happening, they've already gotten what they wanted. This kind of behavior is not just deceptive, it's deeply malicious. By pretending to be kind, they exploit your natural tendency to trust, to believe the best in others. They know that kindness is a powerful currency, one that can buy them access to your life, your resources, your emotions. They use it to open doors that would otherwise be closed, to gain favors they haven't earned, and to manipulate you into doing things that serve their own selfish purposes. But here's the kicker, they're good at it. Their fake kindness is often so convincing that it can be hard to spot, especially at first. They know how to say the right things, how to perform acts of generosity that seem so genuine, you'd never suspect there's anything behind them. It's only later, after the damage has been done, that the pieces start to fall into place. The favors that were asked in return, the subtle manipulations that led you down a path you wouldn't have chosen on your own, it all starts to make sense, but by then, it's often too late. This kind of person operates with a level of cunning that can be truly frightening. They know how to play on your emotions, how to make you feel special, valued, and cared for, all while hiding their true intentions. It's a game to them, one they're usually very good at. They've perfected the art of faking kindness, using it as a mask to cover their real face, the one that's cold, calculating, and entirely self-serving. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is the antithesis of virtue. Stoicism teaches that true kindness comes from a place of genuine concern for others, a desire to help and support without expecting anything in return. It's about acting in accordance with nature, living in harmony with others, and being honest and authentic in your interactions. But when someone fakes kindness, they're doing the opposite. They're using the appearance of virtue to cloak their vices, to manipulate and control rather than to support and uplift. So, how do you protect yourself from this kind of deception? First, be aware that not all kindness is genuine. Just because someone is nice to you doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. Pay attention to patterns of behavior, to the little signs that might indicate something isn't quite right. Are they always asking for something in return? Do their actions seem to benefit them more than they benefit you? Do you feel uneasy around them, even if you can't quite put your finger on why? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. True kindness doesn't come with strings attached, and it doesn't make you feel like you owe something in return. It's freely given, with no ulterior motives, and it leaves you feeling uplifted, not drained or manipulated. In the end, dealing with someone who fakes kindness is about staying vigilant and trusting yourself. It's about recognizing that not everyone who smiles at you is your friend, and that sometimes, the most dangerous people are the ones who hide behind a mask of kindness. Don't be fooled by the facade. Look deeper, see the truth, and protect yourself from those who would use kindness as a weapon. Number 7, they undermine others' achievements through sarcasm. When someone constantly undermines others' achievements through sarcasm, it's like they're trying to cast a shadow over the light of someone else's success. It's subtle, often disguised as humor or a joke, but the intention behind it is anything but playful. The goal is to diminish, to take something bright and beautiful and dim it down, all because they can't stand the idea of someone else shining too brightly. Sarcasm, in this context, becomes a tool for the insecure. Instead of celebrating someone's accomplishments, they wrap their envy in a snide remark or a backhanded compliment. It's like they're trying to say, yeah, you did that, but it's not really that impressive. They might throw in a casual, oh, look at you, Mr. Big Shot, or well, aren't you special, all with a smirk that suggests they're not really impressed, even if the achievement is something genuinely noteworthy. This kind of behavior is draining. It takes what should be a moment of pride and turns it into something awkward, something tainted by the sharp edge of their words. You find yourself questioning whether your achievement was worth celebrating in the first place, all because they've planted that seed of doubt with their sarcastic quip. It's like they're trying to take ownership of your joy, twisting it into something less pure, less joyful. But why do they do it? Often, it's because they're uncomfortable with their own perceived shortcomings. Seeing someone else succeed highlights their own insecurities, their own lack of progress, and instead of dealing with those feelings, they project them outward. Sarcasm becomes a shield, a way to protect their ego by knocking others down a peg or two. It's not about you, it's about them, but they make it feel like it's all about you. Another layer to this is how it affects relationships. Sarcasm, when used in this way, erodes trust and respect. It creates an environment where people feel they have to walk on eggshells, never fully sure if their success will be met with genuine praise or a biting remark. Over time, it can push people away, leading to isolation for both the person on the receiving end and the one dishing it out. It's a toxic cycle, fueled by bitterness and the inability to celebrate others without feeling threatened. The real danger of this sarcastic undermining is that it can start to chip away at your self-esteem. If you hear something often enough, you might start to believe it. Their sarcastic comments can make you second-guess your achievements, leading you to downplay your own hard work and successes. This is exactly what they want, to pull you down to their level of insecurity and doubt, because misery, as they say, loves company. But here's the thing, sarcasm only has power if you let it. Recognizing it for what it is, a defense mechanism rooted in insecurity, can help you build a shield against it. Instead of letting their words get under your skin, you can choose to rise above it. You don't need their validation to know that your achievements matter. You don't need their approval to feel proud of what you've accomplished. Their sarcasm is a reflection of them, not you. One way to counter this is by staying grounded in your own sense of worth. Celebrate your achievements with people who genuinely care about your success, who lift you up instead of trying to tear you down. And when faced with sarcasm, you can either call it out or simply let it slide off your back, knowing that it doesn't define your worth or the value of what you've done. At the end of the day, those who undermine others through sarcasm are showing you their true colors. They're revealing their own struggles with envy, insecurity, and a lack of self-confidence. But that doesn't mean you have to let their negativity affect you. By staying true to yourself and not letting their words diminish your achievements, you maintain your integrity and your sense of accomplishment. So, when someone tries to undermine you with sarcasm, remember, it's not about you. It's about them. And you have the power to choose how much influence their words have over your life. Hold on to your light, and let it shine, no matter how much they try to dim it. Number 8. They are relentlessly selfish and self-centered. When you're dealing with someone who's relentlessly selfish and self-centered, it's like being in a one-sided relationship where the other person always comes first, no matter what. They're the star of their own show, and everyone else? Just supporting characters, there to serve their needs, wants, and desires. It's not that they occasionally put themselves first, which everyone does from time to time. No, this is a whole different level. This is a person who's so wrapped up in themselves that they can't see beyond their own nose. The thing is, with someone like this, every interaction feels like it's all about them. It's as if they've got blinders on, only focusing on how things affect them, how they can benefit, how they can come out on top. You might find that conversations always somehow circle back to them, no matter where they started. Try to talk about something that's important to you, and before you know it, they've flipped it around, making it about their experiences, their opinions, their problems. It's exhausting, right? And let's not forget how this relentless self-centeredness shows up in their actions. They're the kind of person who will take the biggest slice of the pie without a second thought, who'll happily let you carry the burden while they reap the rewards. If there's a shortcut that benefits them, they'll take it even if it leaves you in the dust. They're not just prioritizing their needs, they're ignoring everyone else's, as if other people's needs don't even exist. In their world, it's all about what they can get, what they can take. They're not interested in giving, not unless there's something in it for them. And when they do give, it's often with strings attached, expecting something in return. They're not offering help out of kindness, they're making an investment, expecting to cash in later. This isn't generosity, it's calculated selfishness. What's more, this relentless focus on themselves means they often lack empathy. It's not that they don't understand what others are going through, it's that they don't care. Your feelings, your struggles, they're just not on their radar unless they can use them to their advantage. And even then, it's about how your situation affects them, not about genuine concern for you. This kind of person might even get angry or frustrated when others don't fall in line with their expectations. They see themselves as the center of the universe, so when people don't act accordingly, it feels like a personal affront. They might lash out, make demands, or manipulate situations to get what they want, all the while thinking it's perfectly reasonable because, in their mind, they deserve it. In the Stoic sense, dealing with someone like this can be a real challenge. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions, our own responses. But when faced with someone who's so self-absorbed, it can be hard not to get dragged into their drama, not to feel frustrated or taken advantage of. The key is to recognize what's happening and not let their selfishness dictate your actions or emotions. You don't have to play by their rules. You don't have to feed their ego or cater to their demands. Stoicism encourages us to maintain our own integrity, to act according to our own values, regardless of how others behave. When dealing with someone who's relentlessly selfish, that might mean setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and not getting sucked into their self-centered world. Ultimately, the relentless selfishness of such a person is a reflection of their own inner emptiness. They're constantly seeking to fill a void, but no amount of attention, no amount of talking or demanding, will ever be enough. They're stuck in a cycle of endless wanting, always hungry for more, never satisfied. And that's not your burden to bear. By recognizing their behavior for what it is, you can protect yourself from getting caught in their web and stay grounded in your own sense of self. Number 9, they break promises and betray trust. When someone repeatedly breaks promises and betrays trust, it's like they're chiseling away at the very foundation of what makes a relationship, any relationship, work. Trust isn't something that just magically appears. It's built over time, piece by piece, through actions, words, and mutual understanding. But when someone consistently fails to keep their word, that trust, which took so long to build, can crumble in an instant. Let's be real here, promises aren't just words. They're commitments, little contracts that say, "You can count on me." And when someone breaks those promises, they're essentially telling you, without saying a word, that your trust isn't worth much to them. Maybe they apologize afterward, maybe they don't, but the damage is done. A broken promise leaves a mark, a little scar that reminds you not to trust so easily next time. But it's not just about the promises themselves, it's about what they represent. When someone betrays your trust, they're showing you a glimpse of their true character. They're revealing that their words don't hold much weight, that they're more than willing to let you down when it suits them. And that, my friend, is a huge red flag. Because if someone is willing to betray your trust over small things, what's stopping them from doing the same, or worse, when the stakes are higher? Breaking promises and betraying trust isn't just about failing to show up when you said you would or not following through on a commitment. It's about creating a pattern of behavior that undermines the very fabric of a healthy relationship. Each broken promise, each little betrayal, chips away at the respect and loyalty that's supposed to hold people together. It's like they're playing a game where only they know the rules, and you're left scrambling, trying to figure out what happened to the trust you thought you had. And here's the thing, people who make a habit of breaking promises usually don't see anything wrong with it. They might offer excuses, say they were too busy, or that something came up, but the underlying message is clear, your trust isn't a priority for them. They may even act surprised when you're hurt or upset, turning the situation around to make you feel like you're the one overreacting. But you're not overreacting. Trust is a big deal. Without it, any relationship, whether it's a friendship, partnership, or something else entirely, starts to wither. From a Stoic perspective, trust is a virtue. It's something to be honored, cherished, and maintained with care. When someone betrays that trust, they're not just letting you down, they're acting against the principles of integrity and respect that are central to living a virtuous life. Stoicism teaches us to value honesty, to be true to our word, and to act in ways that are consistent with our principles. But when someone repeatedly breaks promises, they're showing you that they don't share those values. They're more interested in serving their own needs, even if it means hurting others in the process. So, what do you do when you're faced with someone who constantly breaks promises and betrays your trust? First, recognize that this isn't just about one or two slip-ups. It's about a pattern of behavior that shows a fundamental lack of respect for you and your relationship. You deserve better than that. You deserve people in your life who value your trust, who see it as something precious, not something to be casually tossed aside when it's no longer convenient. It's also important to set boundaries. If someone continues to break promises, it's okay to distance yourself. You don't have to keep giving them chances to prove that they're unreliable. Protect your own peace of mind and surround yourself with people who are trustworthy, who keep their word, and who understand the value of a promise. At the end of the day, trust is fragile. It can take years to build and seconds to destroy. When someone breaks promises and betrays trust, they're not just damaging the relationship, they're revealing their true nature. Don't ignore the signs. Pay attention, protect your heart, and remember that you deserve to have people in your life who respect and honor your trust. Because once that trust is gone, it's incredibly hard to get back. Number 10. They refuse to take responsibility for their actions. When someone refuses to take responsibility for their actions, it's like dealing with a slippery fish. You think you've got a grip on the situation, but they manage to wriggle free every time. They're the masters of deflection, always finding a way to sidestep the consequences of their behavior, leaving you holding the bag. It's frustrating, to say the least, and it can make you question what's real and what's just a smokescreen. Here's the thing, people who refuse to own up to their actions are often deeply insecure. Admitting they're wrong or acknowledging they've made a mistake feels like a threat to their ego, so they avoid it at all costs. Instead of saying, "Yeah, that was on me," they'll twist the narrative, making it seem like it's everyone else's fault but theirs. They'll point fingers, shift blame, and maybe even play the victim, anything to keep the spotlight off their own shortcomings. You might notice this pattern in how they respond to conflict or criticism. Rather than taking a step back to reflect on their behavior, they go on the offensive. "It wasn't me," they'll insist, "it was because of this or that." They'll drag other people into the mix, muddying the waters until you're left wondering if maybe, just maybe, they're right. But deep down, you know the truth, they're dodging responsibility, plain and simple. This kind of behavior is toxic, not just for them but for everyone around them. It creates an environment where accountability is non-existent, and without accountability, there's no room for growth or improvement. They stay stuck in their ways, refusing to learn from their mistakes because, in their mind, they haven't made any. It's always someone else's problem, someone else's fault. What's worse, their refusal to take responsibility often leaves others to clean up their messes. You might find yourself apologizing on their behalf, fixing the problems they've caused, or taking on burdens that aren't yours to bear. It's exhausting, and it can wear you down over time. It's like running a never-ending race where the finish line keeps moving because they keep pushing it further away. This behavior also erodes trust. How can you rely on someone who never admits when they're wrong? How can you build a healthy, honest relationship with someone who's constantly dodging accountability? The answer is, you can't. Trust requires a foundation of truth, and if someone refuses to own their actions, that foundation crumbles. But here's the kicker, when they're called out on it, they'll often double down. They'll become defensive, maybe even aggressive, trying to turn the tables and make you feel like you're the one in the wrong. It's a manipulative tactic, designed to keep you off balance and second-guessing yourself. Don't fall for it. Recognizing this pattern is the first step in breaking free from its grip. So, what do you do when you're dealing with someone like this? First off, set boundaries. Make it clear that you won't take on their responsibilities or clean up their messes. If they've made a mistake, they need to face the consequences, not you. It's about drawing a line in the sand and sticking to it, no matter how much they try to blur it. Next, don't engage in their blame game. If they try to shift the responsibility onto you or someone else, calmly but firmly bring the focus back to their actions. You don't need to argue or get drawn into their drama, just stick to the facts. The more you do this, the less power they'll have to deflect and dodge. Lastly, protect your peace of mind. Dealing with someone who refuses to take responsibility can be draining, so it's important to prioritize your own well-being. Surround yourself with people who are honest, accountable, and willing to own their mistakes. Those are the relationships that will nourish you, not drain you. In the end, someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions is showing you a fundamental flaw in their character. It's a red flag, a warning sign that you're dealing with someone who's not interested in growth or integrity. But recognizing this behavior for what it is gives you the power to protect yourself, to set boundaries, and to focus on building relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and accountability. Because life's too short to waste it on people who can't own up to their own messes. As we wrap up this exploration of the 10 signs that may indicate you're dealing with an evil person, it's crucial to remember that Stoicism teaches us to approach every situation with wisdom, discernment, and compassion. While it's important to recognize and protect yourself from harmful influences, it's equally vital to remain grounded in your own values and not let negativity pull you away from your path of virtue. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Real Stoic Journal for more content that helps you navigate life's challenges with stoic resilience. And remember, no matter what you face, you have the inner strength to overcome it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and keep practicing the art of living with purpose.